The political temperature just exploded. Fikile Mbalula has launched a scathing attack on Jacinta, tearing into her over the March and March movement in remarks that are already sparking heated debate online. His sharp criticism and strong words have left supporters and critics arguing over what this means for the movement's future. Was this a justified political response, or did Mbalula go too far? Watch until the end as we break down exactly what was said, the context behind the confrontation, and why this exchange is making headlines. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on your notifications button for more updates.
March and March. No, Jacob Zuma have endorsed March and March. And he have actually gone extreme and said that Mabahambe. His people have owned up to this membership. His Secretary General have called me and the President by name in defense of illegal activities. They have not stood up for principle. I've listened to people very well. I've listened to the King. The King is very responsible. He's very clear. The King, let government address immigration, but don't do this and that. Jacob Zuma is an elder in this country. He was a president. South Africans are failing to hold him accountable for things that he does and which happened under his watch. And he knows the difficulties of immigration that we're dealing with. And today, he's joining the fray, not responsibly, irresponsibly, as an elderly person, statesman, a man who was a president in this country. Stand up on platform and fuel violence. Get 30 years. How can a person who was a leader not so long call for violence in the country? Does he know what will happen here? Who wants this violence that is being purported here? These people don't know what they are talking about. He is supporting them for political reasons because he wants votes. There are many ways to win votes. He won votes. People followed him. He crippled the ANC, big numbers in Gauteng and KZN. He didn't do that by violence. Why will you encourage ordinary South Africans to fight other Africans who are illegal in your country? What is that going to end with? All of us, we should be looking at the state to increase its capacity to deal with this phenomenon. That's what is important. Are the issues that have been raised about illegal immigrants in our country not genuine, not real? They are real, they are truthful. We live amongst our people. I was giving you examples here. These things you know them yourselves. I'm not talking about stuff that I don't know. And then Sabelo, Samkele Askur, don't we think the ANC has failed South Africans in relation to this in relation to this particular matter of illegal immigration and all of that? Failure will be the simplest way of saying ANC government has actually failed. But the fact of the matter is that the matter is more complex than that. It's more complex than that. And therefore it needs to be attended to vehemently. We've been dealing with this thing since we came into power. Even before we came into power. Africans have come into this country in the city of gold and work in the mines. The Basotho nationals, Botswana, the Zimbabweans, the Mozambicans have worked in the mines, and some of them refused to be unionized under the National Union of Mine Workers and subjected themselves to the exploitation of the mining companies in our country. And therefore they were protected. It is the ANC that came into power and undermined that and unionized in the mines and recognized the unions. You remember the black and black violence, Amaxhosa, Nabatswana, Namachangani in the mines. Because of what? Of scab work. When others who are South Africans championed strikes in the mines, those who came from outside the country who were illegal and foreign nationals did not strike, and they were used as scab labor in our country. It is perpetuated now in our streets through the porous borders. And when the economies of Zimbabwe collapsed, we then witnessed the unprecedented amount of Africans crossing the Limpopo River, among crocodiles coming into our country with children, crossing to South Africa for survival. When Robert Mugabe fought for land redistribution in Zimbabwe, and Zimbabwe subjected to sanctions and paralyzed to the ground, when Zimbabwe was the breadbasket of the African continent, and Zimbabweans did not need to come to South Africa to look for jobs, including petty jobs working in our homes, because they were satisfied in Zimbabwe. There are mines in Zimbabwe. Breadbasket, they were working in the fields in Zimbabwe. They came into our country after Mugabe, forcefully. After 10 years of the Lancaster collapse, that now we are taking land. And they said Mugabe is doing land grab. Tony Blair and the United States of America withdrew the economic support and investment in Zimbabwe and collapsed the Zimbabwean economy. But they still exploit the natural resources of Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans, the whole country is here in South Africa. We had to even include exemption permits for Zimbabweans. Why are Botswana nationals not here in South Africa? In their numbers, they are happy in Botswana. Swazis, Abesuthu, they are there, Koditabemu, Samshwef. Others are still here, but they are there in their countries in numbers. Why are they here? No justification for that. We have been talking to them from the days of Thabo Mbeki, that give Zimbabweans what we have agreed to them. They looked away. British, they looked away. Tony Blair. Mugabe even passed on.
Despite not directly responding to Fikile Mbalula's latest criticism, Jacinta has remained focused on a cause she has championed for a long time, the issue of illegal immigration in South Africa. Long before this latest political clash, she had been speaking publicly about stricter immigration enforcement and recently addressed supporters in a widely shared video promoting the upcoming march. Her message called on South Africans to participate peacefully and demand stronger action on illegal immigration. As political tensions continue to rise, many are watching to see whether Mbalula's comments will spark a direct response from Jacinta or whether she will continue focusing on her campaign.
The March and March briefing by March and March leader Jacinta Zuma, and that has started in KZN.
On the 24th of March 2025, what started as a day on Facebook became what we know today as March and March. We took to the streets for the first time. Naysayers mocked us. We were told that we will get fired, and we actually did, and that we will march alone. Today, the nation is engaged in this movement, and an important debate is currently happening more than a year later. On the 8th of May 1996, the Constitution of the Republic was adopted by the National Assembly, and it was signed into law by President Nelson Mandela in Sharpeville on the 10th of December 1996. 30 years later, we look back with so much mixed feelings. What has democracy and freedom done for us as South Africans? Are we really free? And if not, what must we do as South Africans? The preamble of the Constitution clearly expresses the wishes of our people. In its preamble, it states that We therefore, through our freely elected representatives, adopt the Constitution as the supreme law of the Republic, so as to heal the divisions of the past and establish a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights. Lay the foundations for a democratic and open society in which government is based on the will of the people and every citizen is equally protected by law. Improve the quality of life of all citizens and a free potential of each person, and build a nation, united and democratic South Africa, able to take its rightful place as a sovereign state in the family of nations. South Africans have been saying to government, this freedom has not brought back our land. We still do not own the means of production. The aspirations of the ordinary South African people remain a pipe dream never to be realized. Since March and March was established in 2025, we have seen hundreds of anti-illegal immigration protests. Emphasizing anti-illegal immigration protests because we get a lot of media people not being able to state it correctly. A clarion call on government to enforce the existing laws and amend some of the laws, including the Constitution. We have noted that many lazy thinkers who have labeled this progressive and patriotic movement as xenophobic have portrayed March and March, together with other progressive civil society movements and groups, as vigilante groups, and we will soon attend to such sentiments. We have started to take legal action against some media houses who have blatantly misled the public, calling us names, accusing us of being on the payroll of certain people and government. This war against illegal immigration will not stop because some in the media don't like it, or they're married to people who are not South African, or government feels uncomfortable when we fight. We will fight until the last illegal immigrant leaves our country. We demand that the sovereignty of our country be protected. South Africa is currently being invaded. South Africans have become refugees in their own country, while tuck-shop mafias do as they please. Our government is very good and condemns South Africans for fighting for their own country. That's as far as it goes. The likes of Minister Ronald Lamula, who finds it fashionable to call March and March a vigilante group, a reckless statement that is baseless and is without merit. He forgets to tell us that to date, Bushiri is still not back in South Africa, and he could not even denounce white genocide when he was given a chance to go and do so at the White House. But today he has Dutch courage to insult South Africans. South Africans are not xenophobic, nor are they violent. They have been patient with the government for far too long, and foreign nationals have abused our mercy and kindness, and it ends now. We know that we are the voice of the voiceless, the unemployed, the drug addicts, the women who are raped and trafficked every day from this country by foreign nationals, and we now say enough is enough. We have noted the energy that politicians, particularly those in government, have for calling for the state to unleash the brutality of the state on us, for demanding what belongs to us. Why do we not see the same energy against the criminal cartels that we already know we have in the country? Not once have we had government calling out Nigerians for selling drugs in South Africa and destroying the future of this country. And just yesterday, we were watching them on another episode of Sizokuthola, telling us that the ground is fertile for crime in this country. Yet we have not heard government calling them out. We have not heard government calling out Somalians and the people of Pakistan and Ethiopians and telling them to dismantle the cartels that they are running in our country, as well as the spaza shop mafias. We are aware that the executive is planning to unleash the army on us in June, yet they have dismally failed to remove the illegal immigrants from our shores. The prioritization of foreign nationals in South Africa is deeply appalling. South Africa is currently on the verge of a collapse. The economy is crumbling, there are no resources left for South Africans, and there's certainly not enough resources for foreign nationals. We therefore cannot allow this to continue while our people continue to suffer. The government has, in the 2026-2027 financial year, budgeted and allocated 292.8 billion for social grants. This confirms that many South Africans are dependent on social grants, which highlights the scale of urgency of the problem, because South Africa is a welfare state. Majority of foreign nationals that are in South Africa are not real refugees. These are economic migrants who have and continue to abuse our laws. They have taken over the informal economy, colluded with Home Affairs officials in creating fraudulent documents to bring their countrymen into our country. Our township economy has been hijacked by Somalians and foreign nationals from Pakistan and Ethiopia. In Durban alone, over 340 permits have been given to foreign nationals to operate in the Durban CBD as we sit here currently. The strain in our public facilities is getting out of hand, with the departments such as health, education, and social development struggling to service South Africans properly because they end up having to service a lot more foreign nationals than they should. The underfunding of the BMA is also a grave concern to us, and that requires urgent intervention. It is pointless to fund the Department of Labor so that they can employ 10,000 inspectors when your borders are wide open. This is poor planning from the government, because those 10,000 inspectors should be assisting the only 800 immigration officers that we have in the entire country. We have noted hundreds of thousands of migrants coming to our country as tourists and then end up as refugees and business people, as well as criminals or even employers. The time has come for government now to close the tap and deport all of these immigrants. We do not want to see illegal immigrants working for Checkers 6060 coming to our homes to deliver our food, as this is not a critical or scarce skill. These jobs must be reserved only for South Africans in order for us to win the war against inequality and poverty. There must be a stringent system and laws that prevent drug lords from Nigeria to access our country as they please. This has been going on for far too long, with them even having places that they've taken over and they dominate, making it no-go areas for South Africa. And it is now a time that it comes to an end. The government needs to decide which side they are going to take. Will they stand with South Africans, or are they going to stand with these criminal syndicates? We have noted the irresponsible actions of Home Affairs and the municipality of pulling the wool over the faces of South Africans, when we know that there is no way that immigration officers can screen 457 immigrants in less than 3 hours, when ordinarily it takes a whole day to screen one immigrant. We are not going to surrender. South Africa is our home, and we have nowhere to go. And we will fight for the rights of South Africans here in South Africa. Going back to the township economy contributes approximately 900 billion into the GDP of this country. This contribution is now shrinking due to the hijacking of our economy. The number of drug addicts has skyrocketed over the past few years, and the government has done nothing to turn around the situation. Even those famous NGOs that are now rushing to save the refugees are nowhere to be seen when it's time to help South Africans who are destitute and in need. We want to thank South Africans for chasing their country, for protecting their country. We have seen them rising from each and every corner, taking to the streets and on social media, fighting for their country every single day. And we call upon every single South African who's passionate and loves their country not to stop fighting until the end, because in the end, we will win, and very soon. We call upon professionals, churches, influencers, progressive politicians, traditional leaders, and every single South African to rise and take to the streets to clean our towns, save our children, and not rest until the end, until we win. We have a few demands that we have listed that we would like to put to our government. We call upon the government to stop granting and processing of all refugee applications within 14 days until the state has come up with an interim solution pending the process currently underway in respect of the white paper. Because currently there's no need for them to keep handing out refugee statuses when they know that their house is not in order. We call for the immediate and massive deportation of all illegal immigrants currently living in the country. And if they can force them to pay for their way back home, it'll ensure that they don't keep coming back. We call for the amendment of the law to enable the BMA to operate inland, because for us it makes no sense to say that the people that are allowing the people to come in and know how long they should be staying in the country are not allowed to come into the country and take them out when their time has expired. We demand for the transfer of all immigration officers to BMA and for this to be legislated. And of course, for the increase in the number of immigration officers in the country, because 800 really is a ridiculous number. We call for the urgent transfer of all border police to BMA, because currently what is happening, SAPS and BMA and SANDF are not working together at the borders to make sure that they are able to stop people from coming into the country due to who is calling the shots at the border at the time. So it's better to just have BMA be the ones that have their own resources and their own personnel working at the borders. We would like for the government to set a budget to build a secure fence and secure our country urgently as a matter of absolute urgency, because we know that currently our country is only operating at 25% capacity at our borders. We are calling on government to declare a state of emergency for illegal immigration that is currently happening in the country under the banner of this being an invasion of the country. We also would like to call for the legislation to pass laws to reserve township economy for South African small businesses only. And we call upon the President to address the nation in respect to the issues raised above before the 30th of June 2026. As our people want to take to the streets on the 30th of June 2026 if this issue is not addressed correctly. Mother Teresa once said, when a poor person dies of hunger, it has not happened because God did not take care of him or her. It happened because neither you nor I wanted to give that person what he or she needed. Our people want justice, and they want it now. Let us all rise to save our country, save our people from hunger and inequality. South Africa will be great again. It just needs all of us to rise and defeat our enemy. And tomorrow we must all rise and play a role to defend our heritage. And God bless South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. We're going to allow a first round of questions from our esteemed media guest. And I'd like to request that perhaps we note the questions that have been asked. Sicela imibuzo. Welcome Durban Network. To run the News USA. usekhona umbamba babugoge. I'm not sure if I can note him.
Yeah.
Ask the question,
Yeah.
then you respond,
Yeah.
then you go on like
Yeah.
that. Okay. You can come to my brother.
Oh, it's what was
network. My question is, knowing very well that the private sector won't withdraw from hiring the undocumented migrants, because obviously they maximize their profits from there. I mean, what would the March and March do to address the issue? Let's say, obviously from the point that you guys are standing, you are against what they are doing, but it's not easy that the private sector will withdraw, I mean, hiring the undocumented migrants and stuff. What would you do if they continue doing the same thing? My second question is, if the list of your demands are not met, what are you going to do? What's the next step? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sabelo. I think for us, luckily today we came out of a meeting with some of the biggest companies in the private sector, your Checkers, your Mr. D, McDonald's, and the likes. There's a number of them. And in that meeting, they say that they are not hiring a lot of illegal immigrants, and those that are now trying to take them out of the sector or the sectors that they're in, which is what we got from them. Of course, this was the first engagement and it's not the last one with them, because we did highlight the dangers of what they're doing and the crimes. But what we also noted from that engagement is that the private sector itself is actually losing out. I know that in the meeting they were complaining about the fact that, for example, there were 800,000 tons of tissue that was imported into the country illegally, and it was all placed in tuck shops. And that meant that obviously this is the network of the Somalians, Ethiopians, etc. So they're also feeling the pinch of this entire crisis, and they were calling for better management of the ports and what's coming in, etc. So with the employment, we are going to be following up a lot with them. We've got the companies, we listed them, we sent our questions, and we have asked each and every one of them to give us the numbers of foreigners that they have and on what kind of permits are they on for them to be employed. So we're just waiting for those numbers. I don't know if that's a satisfactory answer. But then, yeah. But then when it comes to what would we do if our demands are not met, I think first of all it would be very disappointing for a government to try to go against its people. I think that would be the first. I'd be shocked that our government continues to want to go against the people. But on top of that, as we had promised, we're seeing a lot of people talk about the 30th of June as though they're waiting for some Holocaust to happen. And Umamu Enji is even blatant about the SANDF and the role that they're going to play. But for us, it's not going to go in the direction that they think, because we know how much they've been craving to use us as posters for violence and xenophobia, even when there's no violence they created in their heads. I mean, it was even so bad that even the Minister of Police was claiming that the people of Ghana experienced some violence, and when we sent a message to him, we didn't get a response of who are these people from Ghana. An entire Minister of Police issued a statement saying that. So what we're dealing with here is a government that is itching for violence. I think for them it's an opportunity to test their powers, because if they wanted to deal with crime and deal with violence and deal with all the problems that we have in the country, all that excitement that they have, they could have used it right now. We're dealing with a lot of crimes and criminals and organized crimes, but I've never seen them so excited to unleash the military. So if our demands are not met, we'll see.
Thank you. Can we take a news essay?
I'm Brian Smelana from News Essay. How do you respond to the critics that says the movement is being influenced by Action SA to be specific? Is there a way whereby the movement is being influenced by political parties? And again, are you planning to join the Action SA? Because, for example, the likes of Zandile Mbalula have joined the Action SA, the likes of Karen Kumar has joined the Action SA. Thank you, don't be one.
Okay, let me start with the second question. Oh, never mind, let me start with the first one. So you're saying if we're influenced by Action SA or any political party. And I'm going to answer this question holistically, because some people in this room might know how March and March started, how it was just me on social media complaining and people dared me, literally. We dare you to start and do something because you've been talking about this, you know. And that is really how we have March and March today. If it wasn't for those people, I don't think I'd also would have been brave enough to start something like this. But what I've noticed is the minute you stand up for something in this country, people start wanting to dig up on why is she doing that. You know, it's no longer about the movement. Now it's about Jacinta. And why is Jacinta doing this? And suddenly I'm funded, you know, and I was saying, okay, why wasn't I funded all along when people were saying she's going to march alone, this thing is going to fail? The only time I'm funded is when it's a success. So the people that didn't expect March and March to come this far, the same people who got me fired from work, are the same people now that are casting aspersions about a political party. They have been saying, I'm going to a political party. If I meet up with someone from the MK, suddenly I'm sent by Zuma because it's a Zuma surname and this is Zuma Stockfell and I'm a Zuma Stockfellian, all of that, you know. Tomorrow I'll meet with the IFP, they'll say, oh, it's the IFP thing. They are trying to unleash violence as they did during apartheid because apartheid, the IFP was used to do the, you know what I mean? So what I've noticed is you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. From the onset, March and March was with those people from Action SA, was with those people from MK, was with those people from PA, was with those people from the IFP from the onset. But it's only now that people know that there's something called March and March that they want to question things and they're not doing it the correct way. Because they're not asking us, they're telling us. They're telling us we are funded. They're telling us we're working with certain political parties because we're pushing a political career. Which goes to say, I can't be influenced by Action SA. Action SA is a political party. We are a movement. We're not focused on 50 other things happening in the country. We're focused on putting South Africans first. We're focused on fighting illegal immigration in the country and foreign nationals that are committing crimes in our country. That is our core focus. We're not like a political party that has 50,000 things they're trying to solve potholes and what. We don't care about potholes. We don't, even if they're there, but it's not our mandate. And then am I joining Action SA? I think currently I'm sitting with about 7, if not 8 offers from political parties to join these, even some that I've never heard of in my life. Some are encouraging me every day to make March and March a political party. And I just don't know how to explain this, that I can't go into the system if I'm fighting the system. Then it betrays the trust of the people. then I'm doing exactly what I said I wouldn't do. I said this before, maybe in the next couple of years to come, when it looks like there's a need for me to assist where I can assist, I wouldn't mind, because I know that I've studied this, I know I've learnt it, I know international relations, I know how economics, politics work. If I'm needed, I will consider it. But right now, my job is to grow March and March, grow patriotism within the people of South Africa, and make sure that even when the next person or the next person comes, South Africans never forget who they are and never again allow a government to treat us the way that this government has treated us.
No, thank you. I think what I forgot to add is that when this March and March started, we actually wrote letters to political parties.
Yes.
We wrote letters to
every single one of them, even EFF.
And none of them wanted to associate themselves with us. It's only now that they are writing statements, asking for meetings. But we met when the issue started. We can't meet now. Thank you. I think now we're going to take Babu Gog from NCA.
Ngiyabonga sanibonani Siphamandla from EMCA. What do you make of today's meeting with ministers? It would appear that March and March was really unhappy. What is it that made you unhappy? Are you going to be joining a follow-up meeting when they reconvene? Number two, the issue of immigrants or migrants, Ababumo Road. eThekwini Metro is washing its hands. Home Affairs, police, and the provincial government are washing their hands. The people are still there. How should that matter be resolved? When you say you want a fence, are you calling for a border fence or what? If you can explain that, please. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So today's meeting was a fruitless exercise because we've got a government that has mastered the art of pretending as if they're doing something, even if they're not doing anything. Today's meeting was merely just government doing a tick box exercise to say that, oh, we met with them, we tried to tell them this is what we are doing so that they can stop the nonsense that they're doing, and we then warned them that should they try anything, we would be ready. That was the whole point of today's meeting. And our government has made it a habit, man, to try and intimidate its own citizens. We've seen this numerous times where they keep telling us about the police and how we've told the police that they must deal with them. We've told the police, and this is exactly what I was saying in the statement, that you've never seen them with this much excitement to deal with illegal immigrants, foreigners, and the corruption. I mean, Nigerians are on television every single Sunday, repeat offenders over and over again on the streets. They've taken over buildings, they've taken over the streets, they've taken over places, but government doesn't do anything. Right now, they're killing each other there, those Somalians, for tuck shops. And this is something that government knows. They're even killing South Africans for tuck shop. When Mazwi was kidnapped, not a single government person came out and said, oh, we're going to find those Somalians that kidnapped. They don't have that energy. They don't have that vigor when it comes to fixing foreign nationals and putting them in their place. So South Africans have assumed a posture of being the ones that are going to be dealing with illegal immigrants and their behavior in this country. Because the immigrants that we have in this country, they are twofold. There are those who are here as professionals and they know what they hear in the country, and you'll hardly ever hear those getting themselves involved in nonsense. But the ones that know that they are criminals, they are illegal, are the ones who are always intimidating us on social media. They are always the ones sending threats. They are always the ones that are the loudest. And I'm going to ask even members of the media, the same way you are following these immigrants on Mo Road every single day, follow up, Pela, on who is burning our houses. Follow up on who's sending us threats. Follow up on the cases that we've opened and our government doesn't do anything about the people who threaten our lives. Because it's being a foreigner in South Africa, I think sometimes I wish I was a foreigner. Because foreigners are extended with so much grace. I mean, they stand in front of the TV, they cry for 2 minutes, everyone is already saying, oh, they're so poor. Oh, they're so sad. Oh my goodness, these people deserve. And you know, for the first time, I must say, I must give credit to SABC for their journalist, Tumbali, who asked the correct questions to an immigrant. I think I've never in my life seen a journalist ask questions to an immigrant. What are you doing in the country? How did you get here? Why are you still here? Are you breaking the laws of the country? No. The questions you guys like asking them, have you eaten? How much food have you had today? Oh, how are your children going to school? Oh my gosh. What did March and March do to you? Oh, that is so sad. Guys, there's laws in this country. This thing of running a country on Ubuntu is exactly what got us here. All those countries in their sad poverty stories there, if you were to go use Pamela to that country, nobody's going to ask you if you've eaten. Nobody cares if you've eaten. Why are we running a country on Ubuntu? How much Ubuntu can you extend to the whole continent and the whole world? We have laws in this country, and those laws must be respected. Whether you are sad, whether you're a refugee, because this other one is saying he came here as a refugee because he had a fight with his family. Like, imagine you're a refugee because you had a fight with the family, and you decide to go to a whole other country. Hi, we've got serious problems in this country. So today's meeting was just that. It was just the government being government. What I can tell you, they don't have a plan, one. They don't know how they're going to fix the immigration crisis except to intimidate us to submission to keep quiet. They don't know who's going to help them to solve the problem. And more than anything, they are very terrified of those African countries. If there's one thing I must tell you, they never call them out on the human rights violations they are committing on their own people. But they know how to tell much and much not to violate those people. Their own government violated them first. Why are you not attending to the initial problem, the root cause of the problem? And that's why we are here today. And then on the immigrants on Moore Road, oh, Jesus. I think South Africans also need to wake up. I mean, there's a pattern to this. It's not the first time they're doing this. They've done it in Cape Town, they've done it in Johannesburg, now they're doing it in Durban. And you fall exactly for that trap. You go and you stand there with cameras, then they start crying, I'm sad, I'm broke, I'm poor, I'm this, I'm that. Firstly, how we deal with that is remove those cameras from those people. There's nothing newsworthy about those people, absolutely nothing. The crowd is getting lesser and lesser, and anyone who fears for their life won't go and sleep outside Home Affairs if you're scared for your life. Like any scared person, you scared, so will you go and sleep there where you are scared? Because you will go and find a place where you are not going to be exposed. Why would a scared person go and sit where they are going to be even more exposed? Because if March and March was trying to hurt them, do you think we wouldn't have hurt them by now, all those days they're sleeping outside there? If we wanted to hurt them, by now they would have been hurt very easily, very simple. But those same people who say they're running away from March and March, they don't want to open cases. The other one came to a news journalist and said that they were hit by someone of March and March. The journalist said, did you open a case? And then they're asking me about it. I said to the journalist, why do you entertain people who haven't opened a case? Because that's hearsay. You know, I wouldn't go to the media and say, oh gosh, there's a foreigner who stabbed me, unless I say, I have gone to the police station, I've opened the case, this and this happened, etc. So now you're busy giving these people exactly what they want, and that's sympathy. Now they are demanding their own town. Like they want their own town from our government. They ran away from their government. Now they're saying they're not safe. Why are they not running away now? Like, what is stopping them from running away? Because I guess their job is to run away from being scared. Us as South Africans, we don't run when we're scared, we fight. And that's the difference between them and us. And if they were not running away from their government and they were fighting it, trust me, African leaders would be much better leaders today. And that is our concern, is that they sit there on Facebook every day, swearing at us and march and this and that. The energy that they have is the same energy all Africans need to have for their government, so that we don't have these corrupt leaders stealing money from people, stealing resources, getting rich, and their children are on social media, living a life buying LVs and Gucci's while you are living in abstract poverty. That is not a South African problem. And you can't blame South Africans for protecting their country. And the last one of borders, do we want borders to have a border fence? I think South Africa is currently facing a huge security threat, more than a lot of us realize. South Africa has NPOs and NGOs that are foreign funded and have millions of rands. That money goes to buying arms. And I'm saying this, having received this information in confidence, and I'm saying it because I want anyone who says that I'm lying to go and research what I'm saying and tell me that I'm wrong. These foreign-funded NGOs, some of them are used to buy arms. So there's a lot of guns that are hidden by these so-called refugees that they have to protect themselves, so they say. But it's not about protection. You must ask yourself, which country in the world discovers military training grounds that you didn't know? The government of Lesotho said that young people in Lesotho are coming here to be trained for the military. This is what the Lesotho government said. South African government doesn't even see a problem, Shem. They think everything is nice. I think Mamu Enji is too focused on much and much to focus on that. State security, Nje, the biggest problem we made was putting that under the president of the country. I don't even understand how that happened. Why would you put something so critical under the hand of the very same president who is more interested in foreign affairs than internal affairs and protecting this country? So we have lots and lots, I'm sure you as news people, you know there's bombs being found at the border for heists and all these things. And right now we just saw even the Kruger National Park, the couple that passed away, they apparently, the people who committed the crime ran to Mozambique. There's other criminals like the Moyo guy who shot 2 police, ran to Zimbabwe. It's a common thing. So we need a serious border in this country, because those vehicles, I don't know if you saw those vehicles that were there that were paraded by the Home Affairs Department, that they go into the river, blah, blah, blah. Those rivers don't even belong to BMA. They were just a demonstration. They've gone back to the owners because the government says they can't afford it. We don't have enough drones. The drones that they say they have are not enough. The situation at the border is BMA is suffering a lot. They're only operating at 25% capacity. That means 75% of the country is exposed to any threat from any international, even military agencies, agents, and we're sitting on a ticking time bomb. And I'm really hoping South Africans will stand up and defend their country, because I mean, seemingly the president doesn't fund the Navy, doesn't fund the SANDF, doesn't fund the police. Every single state entity that's meant to protect the country and its citizens is defunded, which leaves you with the question, which president in the world would want to leave their country that vulnerable?
Thank you.
we're
I
fine.
think this issue of the borders, South Africa has got 72 borders. Out of the 72, we've got 10 which are airport. Then we've got, I think, 54 which are land, and another 9 which are water or sea borders. Then BMA has got only 800 people for all of these borders. So I'm sure you can see that when you actually go there, it's a problem. Some of them, you find them, they even did that Operation Corona, where they send soldiers to go guard the borders, but the soldiers know nothing. They are just security guards then shoving the Wi-Fi through TikTok. So it's very serious. Can we have Sleti from Newsroom?
Thank you very much for your time. Sileti Ndlovu from Newsroom Africa. Firstly, I heard you mention that the government is itching for violence on the 30th of June. Are you able to give us an outline or an elaborate plan at this plan for what is set to take place on the 30th of June? I know there's a lot of suspicion at this point, but are you able to give South Africans at this point an outline in terms of what is actually set to take place. Regarding the SANDF, I know you've touched on it briefly, but to please kindly just elaborate on your comment in terms of the SANDF being deployed on the 30th. And then lastly, I noticed on your media advisory there was a national imbizo that was mentioned. Maybe to also go into details in terms of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Guys, singing when Sletty is talking, me complimenting Mbali might offend some of you. Know, it's just I needed to compliment her because I really was taken aback by her interview skills. But I take nothing away from you, members of the media. If we did, you wouldn't be here today. But the 30th of June 2026, maybe I should just give a brief background of how it came about. So there's March and March, and then there's people who are joining March and March. They're members of March and March. Then there are people who are just ordinary people or organizations doing the same work that we're doing. And that is the likes of Upagelu Mtarati and Lungizwe Mchunu. They're not March and March. They are our supports. We're a team. We support each other in the same ideology. And we as March and March did not issue the date of the 30th of June. It was issued by Insizwa Nobunzizwa, which is Upagelu Mtarati. And when he mentioned that, he did say that they would deal with it in a way that they see as fit. So for us, we have encouraged all other movements that are dealing with illegal immigration to really hop on the bandwagon, in the sense that this is a date, from my understanding, that is issued in order to encourage illegal immigrants themselves to deport themselves without us having to intensify our struggle or fight to the government. Because really it means that as South Africans, we are giving government until the 30th of June to give us a map of how they are going to deal with the issue of illegal immigration. I don't think any of us are stupid to think that all of them will be gone. Of course not. But we are encouraging them to go before the 30th of June. Because what we know is that the kind of illegal immigrants that we have here think they are more South African than South Africans. If you tell them about their home countries, they get very angry. If you remind them that they're not South African, they get very furious. They can even kill you if you remind them, hey, when you're a Nigerian or when you're a Zimbabwean, then they call you self-hate, you are xenophobic, you are Afro, all of this, right? So there's two types of immigrants that we are dealing with. There's those that we know will self-deport. We know those ones. They're most of the time just innocent people who are just coming here to just make a living, etc., etc. And those will go. They're not going to give much of a problem. But the ones that will stay are the ones that are the biggest problem. Those are the ones that require the intensity of the government, that require the intensity of South Africans. And that's why we're going to intensify our pushback to government, our pressure to the government. And all those who always say, you're always fighting immigrants and immigrants are innocent. There's not a single innocent person who comes into a country illegally. There's nothing innocent about that. So they are just as much to blame as our government for coming into our country legally. And we are really urging government to go to these embassies and start those conversations. Start telling those embassies to collect their illegal immigrants and ask them to leave the country. Are you satisfied? Okay, and then the issue of the SANDF. I think it would be a very sad day if the government were to resort to unleashing the soldiers or the military on its own people. I think it would be a very, very sad day.